If you recently lost your job and your health coverage due to the COVID-19 pandemic and you think you may be eligible for Medicare, you probably have more questions than answers right now. Statewide Insurers Group, All Things Medicare, can help you with that. We can provide the guidance and the answers that you need to get the benefits you may be eligible for. Don't let this time of uncertainty jeopardize your eligibility for your Medicare benefits. Remember, relationships matter. Call Statewide Insurers Group today for the answers that you need now. 316-8166.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.
Welcome to the K-Files. Good morning, Lyndall.
Good morning, Sandra. Tell
we
folks.
want to appreciate, well, first let's appreciate our sponsors,
Sure.
Statewide Insurance Group and J.P. Barnes.
Right.
Safety and Consulting. You know you need to get your concealed carry. Call J.P. Okay.
That's a different kind of insurance.
Yes.
Right.
It is.
All right. Tell them the big news you've been talking about.
Yeah, I think it's great. Michael Palmer was arrested for the murder of Johnny Cunningham, and we paid out a tip, and I'll let you go from there.
Well, I mean, there's not much more to tell. The Edgecombe County Sheriff's Office, the Rocky Mount Police Department, Nash County Sheriff's Office all work together to arrest Mr. Palmer.
To me, that's the whole beauty of the whole thing.
Right.
Is those three departments work together. That is so phenomenal, and we're so thankful for that.
Yep, tip came in about Mr. Palmer. They decided that it was valuable. He was arrested, and we met quickly to pay the tipster so they would have the money. And the system works, so if somebody knows something about an open unsolved murder case, any open unsolved murder case,
you will get paid. You will get paid.
If the tip pans out, you will get paid.
That's right.
All right, so Lieutenant Seifman is in the studio. He will be here after the commercial break.
Right.
He has an interesting case to talk about with us.
He always has some interesting, always has some interesting cases.
Interesting photos, too.
Yeah.
He taught me how to take pictures of street signs. All right, so we said when we started this a year ago that if family asked us to help them, we would help them, right? So we got a request from family in Wilson to talk about the quadruple homicide that happened on Christmas Eve.
Have we talked about that at all here?
We have not. Kat has posted it a lot on fighting crime. I've actually written news stories about it, and I've put it on the Facebook page, but we've never
I didn't
talked
think
about
I
it on the
remembered
air.
that
No.
one.
It made international news. Here's an AP story from England when this murder happened on Christmas Eve 2016, right? So it was on the 2200 is that how you say it? Yeah, 2200 block of Banks Lane East, which is just outside of Wilson.
Right.
So the front door was kicked in. There were 4 victims. They were all either wearing pajamas or in their bedclothes, according to the autopsies, and they were all shot multiple times. The girl that we're going to talk about, she was in her 20s. She was shot 9 times, right? So it was a mother and her son, and then their 2 significant others that were shot dead, right? So we're talking about Tammy Pierce, her boyfriend Selby Outland, Tammy's son Shane Pierce, and then his fiancee Nikki Privet. They were all shot to death that night multiple times. Like I said, she was shot 9 times. The family that contacted us, one of them moved out of the area because they're just scared to death, and they've asked not to be identified. They don't want anybody to know who they are.
Yeah, if you shoot
I
somebody
spoke to the
9 times.
I spoke to the grandmother a lot. She's the one that reached out to us, Lois Pierce. I'm going to have more and more information from her as the weeks go by, right? But I wanted to start, since we haven't talked about this on the show before, I wanted to start with what I already knew.
Right.
And move forward from there. So I'm going to talk about each of the 4 victims, right? Because a lot of times people just see someone as a victim and they don't, someone who knows something, sometimes the best way to get that person to talk is by explaining to them that these are not just numbers, these are people.
Right.
So first up is Tammy Pierce. She was 54 years old, right? There she is with her boyfriend. Tammy was these quotes are coming straight from the family, right?
Okay.
Tammy was a mother, a daughter, a sister. She was a grandmother. She loved animals more than life itself. She would rescue dogs. My wife is the exact same way. I know exactly how that is. She would rescue dogs that needed help. She was diagnosed with cancer, but she beat it. She was 100% cancer-free, and then not long after that, she was murdered in her bed, right? So she was cheerful and joyful, and someone took it all away, is a quote from the family. Right, all right, up next is Selby, which is her boyfriend. There's pictures. You see all these pictures there together, right? I mean,
Right.
Selby was a father, a lover, a brother, a son. He loved Tammy. Even when she lost all her hair because of cancer, he stuck with her, right? He was a hard worker. He built Tammy's mother a birdhouse that is still in her yard today. He was very helpful around the house. He knew a lot about home improvement, and he was shot to death that night as well in the bed. Okay, here's Tammy's son, Shane. He was a brother, a son, a grandson. He was always helping around the house. He was always helping his grandparents. Right? He was a good painter. He could fix your house, your car, anything that you needed. He loved animals just like his mom did. He had a blue female pit bull named Xenia. He treated that dog like his child, right? All right, and then finally Nikki is 23. He's proposing to her. That's when he proposed to her. They were engaged to be married. She was a daughter and a sister. She was very quiet and respectful. She was a loving person, and the family, this is not her family, but his family said that she was a sweet person, and that it was obvious how much that she loved Shane. Right? Okay. So the 4 of them are at home Christmas Eve, late Christmas Eve. They're sleeping in the bed. Someone kicks in the door, shoots all 4 of them.
Okay, this grandmother, does she have any notions of who she thinks?
Oh yeah.
I mean, to shoot that girl 9 times, there had to be some relationship.
There was.
Something.
the sheriff's office, who I spoke to this week, they have a good notion who did it. They arrested somebody for it. And then that person was later released and the charges were dropped because they said they lacked evidence, the DA's office. So that was Derek Eugene Harris. He was 29 at the time. He was arrested by the Wilson County Sheriff's Office and the charges were dropped against him. Now, the reason that the charges were dropped is the DA's office say that witnesses changed statements, avoided subpoenas, and dodged court appearances.
There you go.
Right? So that's the reason the cases were dropped.
Yep.
All right, but Harris can be arrested again if more evidence is uncovered.
Sure.
I'm not saying he did it. I'm just saying that, he can be arrested
If more evidence
again.
comes up, he can be.
The governor's office is offering up to $20,000 in this case. Right? You take that $20,000, you add her up to 15, that's up to $35,000.
Wow.
In this case, which, I mean, you got 4 victims, right? So
That's right.
anybody with any information about this case, call the Wilson County Sheriff's Office at 252-237-2118, or of course the hotline number's up there.
Right.
We will be right back with Lieutenant Seifman from the Rocky Mount Police Department. Thank you, folks.
If you recently lost your job and your health coverage due to the COVID-19 pandemic and you think you may be eligible for Medicare, you probably have more questions than answers right now. Statewide Insurers Group, All Things Medicare, can help you with that. We can provide the guidance and the answers that you need to get the benefits you may be eligible for. Don't let this time of uncertainty jeopardize your eligibility for your Medicare benefits. Remember, relationships matter. Call Statewide Insurers Group today for the answers that you need now. 316-8166.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.
Hey folks, welcome back to the K-Files. I am Lindell. This is Lieutenant Seifman with TG Seifman. What does the T stand for? Do you tell folks?
Thomas.
Thomas. What do you, when you interview people or whatever? I know sometimes y'all use initials or whatever. What do you go by T Seifman?
Just Lieutenant Seifman.
Lieutenant Seifman. Well, when you get a promotion, they'll have to call you Captain Seifman.
I've been called that, but not yet.
All right. So appreciate you being back. I know you was on vacation a little bit, so happy to have you back. And you've got a very interesting case for us today. I didn't know until just now when you said it, but I do remember especially the one circumstance. So if you can tell folks who we're talking about, it'd be great.
This morning we're talking about Shaquem Devontae Avent. Mr. Avent was born in 1993, and a few months after his 18th birthday is the day that we're talking about here this morning. On 4/13/2011, about 7:41 p.m., officers with the Rocky Mount Police Department responded to a shooting, shots fired, and a subsequent crash at the intersection of Sunset and Lee Streets. If you're familiar with that location, it's the main Sunset branch down towards the downtown area. There's a stoplight there, and Lee crosses over. It's pretty well traveled between the West Haven area and transport to Falls Road or Sunset or Thomas Street to go out Sunset Avenue. Mr. Avent was traveling on Lee Street towards that intersection and was shot and suffered fatal wound from his assailant, and then crashed as a result into the brick wall there at the intersection. That's
what I remember. I remember that. I remember the shooting and the crash. I've seen that I've probably seen it on Fighting Crime. I know she's posted about it before. So, any suspects, any leads, anything?
We have had some leads. We have not got a solid suspect at this point. The investigation is continuing. We got information on a vehicle, but that has not panned out at this point. We were looking for a burgundy vehicle, and we found that vehicle, and it didn't result in anybody being arrested on that case. Mr. Avent was not an angel. Most of the cases that we talk about on your show are not,
exactly.
perfect persons walking on earth. They have some storied past, and Mr. Avent was no different. But his death does deserve to be
absolutely
at least vindicated, give his family some closure.
Is there any indication? As always, if I ask you something that you can't or don't want to answer, just say
of course.
I can't or don't want to answer that.
Right.
But I mean, is there any indication that his past had anything to do?
We believe so.
This?
Yeah.
Okay.
We believe it was potentially related to gang activity.
Gang activity.
Yep. So that's we're looking at that angle. We found shell casings near the area of the Wesley Apartments. We believe the shooter was stationary there. This is a view looking down Sunset Avenue.
It was so I assumed I need to quit doing that the person was in the car. So you think that it was?
It's possible that they were standing on foot. Possible that they were in a car. We're not 100% sure on that. So.
But stationary.
Definitely in that area where the shell casings were found. Yes.
Wow. So they were ambushed. They were waiting on him. They knew he was coming this way, or?
It appears so, but we're not sure exactly how.
Hey,
we were never able to find
that's
any
a
kind
death penalty thing right there.
Never
right?
having to find.
Yeah,
We're not sure exactly how, if they did know, but it doesn't appear to be happenstance that he was going through there and
not happenstance and not random for anybody, right? He was the target.
Apparently so. The Cadillac is a pretty distinct car. He was known to drive that car along with other friends of his. So.
Wow, that is all right, folks. You know the drill by now. 252-4. I got to read slow because I always get my numbers backwards. 252-406-6736. We have now. Team Cold Case, we put this together less than a year ago, and we have now paid out in 2 homicide cases.
Hoping this is a third.
Yeah, absolutely. The system works. If somebody knows something, they call the number, the information goes to y'all. I don't get the information. I don't know the information. I don't want to know that specific information. Right. There's the reporter in me that will never die that wants to know that kind of stuff, but it's better that I don't. So if you have something to tell law enforcement and you want to make up to $15,000, now's the time to do it. So there's the number. That number is the Crime Stoppers number is at the bottom too, 252-977-1111. That is not the city number.
Right. The city number is 972, but so
I imagine you get a lot of calls for.
We do get mix-ups on the main line through for the city. So it's 252-977-1111, and again, the smallest tip, something that you think might not be significant, could be the one piece of information that we need to break this case.
Right, and I think that's one of the biggest mistakes is people think, oh, well, they got to know this. I'm sure they know this already, so what's the point of me?
Sort of like at a crash scene when everybody assumes that everybody else has called 911 and nobody calls 911. So.
Yeah, there's that famous case. Jenna Red, I think it was, where the lady was stabbed in New York and nobody called 911 because they all thought everybody else called 911 and she got stabbed to death. Right. So, yeah, if you know something, call the hotline. Lieutenant, I appreciate you being back. I know tomorrow I will be at City Hall at 2 o'clock for the new police chief.
Chief's swearing in.
Yeah, swearing in. I met him at our fundraiser that we had. He seems like a nice guy. I look forward to working with him. It's always interesting when a new person comes in to see what's going to happen. So we'll find out together. Folks, again, 252-406-6736. I'm getting faster at that, Sandra. I'm going to get it one day.
Or 252-977-1111 for the Crime Stoppers.
Right, and tell folks, the guys, one more time his name, his age, and when this happened.
Shaquem Devontae Avent, 18 years old at the time of his death, and it happened on 4/13/2011 at about 7:40 p.m.
Okay, 7:40.
So it's still light out in April at that time frame. There's people out. We got calls, so we know people saw or heard what happened. So hopefully somebody either passing through or in that area. It's been quite a while now, so hopefully they're more comfortable calling us and giving us the information that they have.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, Lieutenant, we appreciate you being here. We've got we need to do another recap of all the cases that we did. Hopefully it'll go smoother than the last one. I don't know. I thought we did this in December. No fault of your own, but mine. I thought that it would take longer on each case, and it didn't take that long. And without Sandra, without the wingman there to back me up, I began to flounder. So we need to do a recap. You know, the show's 1 year anniversary is coming up, and you've been involved since the beginning.
Yeah, we could do
so it'd be good
1 year
to do.
Anniversary show.
Yeah, it would be good to do that and talk about each one of them and see what we can do. We were talking about before the show started about publicity. You know, I mean, law enforcement has all sorts of tools. Right. I mean, you've got you've got DNA, which everybody thinks is the magic bullet, but
fingerprints.
Right. But then you also, you've got just good old-fashioned detective work, right? Shoe leather.
Interviews. And
right. But then, publicity, what we do here is just one of those tools. You know, and publicity is a law enforcement tool that works sometimes. I mean, sometimes it doesn't. You know, I mean, I imagine there's times when reporters get in the way. I know when I started 22 years ago, I was an ambulance chaser, right? I mean, I went to every crime scene. This was in Jacksonville, Wilmington area. I went to every crime scene. There was a murder scene where the phone rang and the police were there investigating the murder. The phone rang and it was me on the phone trying to, So
right.
I mean, I used to do all that, but now in my old age, in my wisdom, I usually stay out of law enforcement's way for that first week or so. You know, I report only what they put out at that time for those new cases. But on these old cases, and this is 2011, I don't think anything can hurt at this point. You know, I mean, at this point, it's time to.
That's right.
You know, I mean, it's time to put it out there at this point.
Right.
And y'all do a good job of that. I mean, y'all got on your website, you've got a list of missing people and all that. I've found helpful over the years. So, folks, we will be back in a minute. Lieutenant Seifman, again, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Hope to see you back. It's the third Thursday of every month. Rocky Mount Police Department in the house to tell us what's going on. We appreciate it. Folks, we'll be back in a couple minutes. I got a very interesting unidentified body to talk about, and we'll see you in a minute.
If you recently lost your job and your health coverage due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and you think you may be eligible for Medicare, you probably have more questions than answers right now. Statewide Insurers Group, All Things Medicare, can help you with that. We can provide the guidance and the answers that you need to get the benefits you may be eligible for. Don't let this time of uncertainty jeopardize your eligibility for your Medicare benefits. Remember, relationships matter. Call Statewide Insurers Group today for the answers that you need now. 316-8166.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.